Tomorrow, August 1st, 2025, will be D-Day for silver. I'll explain why this date is so important as we explore. I believe August 1st will be a crucial day for silver, and the results of what happens on that day may not manifest itself for quite a while. And I'm going to get into some of the reasons why, but first I want to remind you about the special that's going on right now for my viewers from Summit Metals. If you enter the code SummitSalivateSummer for $10 off of orders of $500 or more, you will save. That's right. But that offer expires today. So if you are in the market to buy silver and the prices are still down, and that might be a good time to do it. And by the way, stay tuned because later in the video I'm going to show you some really cool silver pieces that Summit Metals have that you might want to take advantage of. So check them out at summitmetals.com. So what's going on here? Silver's price, well, as I record this video, silver's price is down a lot. It got crushed. It got hammered hard, and for sure. And in overnight trading, it's down a little bit more. And we could see it continue to drop as we digest some of the latest economic data and other factors that are coming into play. But what is keeping silver's price from breaking out well above $50 an ounce, as some people theorize it's going to get? I've not been one of those. I don't think we're going to see that this year, or probably not anytime soon. But there's a lot that is working in silver's favor, in the direction to the upside that I think is still there. Industrial demand being key among those. I think that is one factor that's coming into play, but also the fear of tariffs and what it's going to mean. Now, August 1st, for those of you who follow the news, that is the second day that Donald Trump has set out to where it's a hard deadline where tariffs will be implemented. And we know we've heard talk about a 30% tariff on copper, and I think much of the market and the silver market thought it would apply to that metal as well. Is silver going to get tariffed? That's kind of the big question. But in reality, no one really truly knows. In fact, I mean, there's no clear evidence that the 30% tariff on copper imports will be applying to silver. The tariff announcements and investigations, including those under the Section 232, specifically target copper due to national security concerns related to its use in defense and infrastructure. Silver, though a related metal and certainly useful for military applications, is not mentioned in the same context or included in the tariff details. So silver imports from Mexico are now subject to existing USMCA exemptions for compliant goods, and no specific tariff increase for silver is indicated beginning on August 1st, 2025. But that doesn't mean it can't happen anytime soon, and decisions can't be changed. And we've seen that as we've tried to navigate some of the chaos around silver tariff announcements. But nonetheless, that is something that means that this turning point for silver may actually be to the downside. And a normalization of the silver market in general is something else that we should consider. So in other words, we're going to look at the bearish case. And by the way, when I say bearish, I'm not saying that silver is going to fall back below $30 an ounce, but we may retest $35 or $34. Now remember, it wasn't terribly long ago when I mentioned how crucial and important $34 silver was as a support level. If we can maintain above $34, we're still doing good. And I think we're going to maintain that through these summer months. But we may see a little bit of the summer doldrums play out. Now, we know also that on July the 28th, 2025, according to Grok, COMEX issued 38 delivery notices for the standard 5,000-ounce silver futures contract for July. That's about 190,000 ounces, and 35 micro 1,000-ounce futures contracts totaling 35,000 ounces. So this reflects a return to normal levels after earlier highs with no immediate short squeeze signals in the COMEX. Now, that's the COMEX. And there's more data that comes out of the COMEX, and I'm not privy to all of it or get those regular updates, but there's others that do and that I follow. And it looks like we're starting to see the COMEX start to normalize a bit. But remember, lease rates have increased. And that has been something that JM Unleashed had shared with me in the chat. And that's interesting to see. Will those start to normalize too? Quite possible. But that shows that there was a great stress, a lot of stress in the COMEX market. And now the other thing, the unknown, is where there's not as much data are available, is the London Bullion Market Association. They've had some of the lowest numbers of silver on hand, and that information will be released on August the 7th for what their July holdings are. There's a big unknown there, and but if that starts to normalize, but more than likely, I think it will. I think they'll start to accumulate a bit more. It likely will follow the COMEX, at least to some degree, which means it won't be in crisis mode, is what I predict. And that means that likely silver's price may not be as volatile, or better economic data and some of these tariffs that are coming in, and deals being made, especially with the European Union, as we digest first the framework and then the finished deal, that could very well be good for overall economic conditions, not only here in the United States, but for Europe in general, because the European Union is the second largest economy on scale in the world. China is the second largest by nation, but the union of all those European nations certainly does beat China. And so this is a big deal if we can get to a finished framework and the particulars are worked out. Still some unknowns there, and anything can change in that regard. And I don't hold that out to have a positive impact on price, especially if there's concern or there's changes to the deal, or if tariff is in the mix to be taxed. Remember, tariffs essentially are taxes, but the question remains is who pays those taxes in the long run. In the end, most theorize that it's going to be the end consumer, which would be you and me if we're in the United States of America. But I also think that there's going to be a competition by some of these foreign companies that will eat some of those costs so they can remain competitive and be able to export at a less rate. So they'll soften the blow. I don't think that we're going to face the full weight of the baseline, which is, I think, 10 or 15% from what I understand. And if that normalizes, then in the long run, we could see demand increase for this metal. Increased demand for silver is something that we have to think about as the economy starts to flow again, and we start to see people absorb what's going on and the economy adjust to the tariffs and the new essentially order of how trade is done around the world with the United States. And if that happens, then you're going to see silver prices rise gradually, which is really what we want. That's, in the end, that's what we want. Increased economic activity requires more silver. More demand for it means the prices are going to go up. So there's that. On the other hand, in the short term, prices of silver could rise if there is unknowns or there's other situation with the tariffs that will start to cause concern. Gold could go up. Silver could go up as a result of that. If there's more tariffs added that weren't expected, or if there's if a new trade war begins, a renewed trade war happens, then and also China is a big unknown. We don't have nothing more than a very basic framework for China, and there's a lot there that's still got to be worked out. And so those unknowns, I think, could have an impact on silver's price in the short term to the plus side. So really, in the end, I'm bullish in both directions. Now, before I continue, I want to just show you some really, really cool pieces here of silver that Summit Metals has that I think you'll enjoy. And these are the runes, and these runes are really, really cool. A couple of different ones. They're very special little bars that they have, and we're going to take a look at them and watch them glow. Let's see here. You put this special light on it, and they glow different colors depending on what it is. These three are green and blue there, but the Germania Mint sells to Summit Metals now. So they have a variety of germanium mint products, including these runes, which are really nice little hefty bars. And they're really, really neat. And there's little laser etching on the reverse, as you can see here. And they're serialized as well. So very nice, cool products from Germanium Mint. So check them out over at Summit Metals. But with silver's price moving in such a way that we have seen from the beginning of this year to now, it's about a little under 40% now increase. That's far above inflation that we're seeing. And inflation is still a little bit sticky, admittedly enough here, but it's coming down a little bit too. But a lot of that is caused by the Fed, printing these dollars and injecting more into the money supply for various different reasons that I'm not going to get into now. But nonetheless, it's sticking with us here. But that is the case that of some unknowns with regards to tariffs and trade. Now, the other thing that's going to potentially be a game changer and why August 1st could be a turning point for silver is finding out what's going on with regards to Russia and Ukraine. It's not being talked about as much now, but Donald Trump has now shortened his deadline, and it'll be 9 days from now as to if Russia does not come to the table, if Putin doesn't come to the table to negotiate a peace, then there are going to be some punitive sanctions, number one. Number two, there are going to be secondary tariffs placed on any nation dealing with Russia. And that could have an impact on gold and silver to the positive. And then the third thing, this is a little bonus for you, is we're now closer to a rate cut. And more than likely, we're going to get one, maybe two, before now and the end of the year, which means that at least by September, we're going to get one. And knowing that's coming is going to be good for silver's price. So I think really in the long run, we may see a bit of a dip between now and the time that we digest the economic path forward and the economic weight of the tariffs that are going to be hard-coded into August 1st, then we'll see silver's prices go up, and we're going to find out what happens there. But I think that once that's digested, then we'll get a better idea of what's going on, and we could see silver prices go down rather than up as that framework is laid out and they're actually implemented, and if it's a smooth transition. So be prepared for, I think, a somewhat docile market, and I'm not saying the prices are going to dip a whole lot, although we could see them fall back from here for a little while, maybe even a month. Maybe the summer doldrums are coming late, and this could be the beginning of the summer doldrums, when we may see a pullback to $36, $35 an ounce, and maybe at worst case scenario $34. I don't see it going much below that, but overall I'm still bullish on it, and I'm sticking with my revised prediction of $41 an ounce by the end of the year. Let me know if you still think we're going to see $31 an ounce by the end of the year. I would love to know if you think we're going to see that, or if you still think it's going to go above and beyond that, or if you think it's going to go below that. And while we're thinking about that, let's see what this one looks like under the black light. Oh, that's green too. All green except for one blue. All right, there you go. There's your ruins. I didn't mean to ruins it for you. So I hope you enjoyed this. With that being said, I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.